How does Tennessee's offense, or lack thereof at times, affect a couple of really highly recruited quarterbacks that are coming in? How they've handled the quarterback position as well. So, who are the two fantastic quarterbacks, George and Faizon, that Tennessee has coming in the next 2 years? Tell us about those for those that aren't recruitniks.
Yes, George MacIntyre is kind of considered the heir apparent to what we thought Nico Iamaleava was going to be. He comes out of Brentwood. He is a 5-star right out of Brentwood Academy. The George MacIntyre Mike Matthews connection is one that everybody's excited about, that everybody's looking forward to seeing. He also helped Tennessee get a 5-star offensive tackle from North Carolina. Speaking of that, Faizon Brandon is a 5-star 2026 quarterback out of North Carolina. Obviously, Nico will be playing in 2025. Maybe he'll be playing in 2026. Right now, it don't look like he's going to be leaving after 2025. But if he does, then you'll see a George MacIntyre, Faizon Brandon quarterback competition in 2026. But that could go to 2027, at which point George MacIntyre would theoretically be either a junior or a redshirt sophomore, and Faizon Brandon would be a sophomore or a redshirt freshman. But both are going to be in competition to be the heir apparent to Nico Iamaleava in the future.
Okay, I'm going to get in hot water with our listeners, and I'm willing to do that because I like to tell you what I really believe. I think the way this season is played out would concern me if I were Faizon or George. I think it would be a real significant concern. Jake Merklinger has not played, and I wonder if I come sit behind Merklinger, do I ever get an opportunity to go out there and get game snaps? I also have seen this offense not be as talented as I thought it would. We thought Brew McCoy, Dante Thornton, Squirrel White were just going to be the creme de la creme, did we not?
Yeah, we did.
And we thought there was no issue on the offensive line. Well, I don't say we, you and me, we knew that they were thin there and that the offensive tackles were new and had to be depended on, and we had our doubts. But that's not what the coaches told any prospects. You know, they didn't say, look out, because this Lance Hurd guy from LSU has been hurt all preseason. He ain't ready. But if I'm George MacIntyre or Faizon Brandon, I'm looking at this quarterback situation, and not to the point where I would decommit at all, but I'm concerned. I'm concerned that this thing didn't hum along like 2022. Caleb, when you touch base on recruiting, people get ultra sensitive. And yes, Derek Brew had a horrible injury, and I think he lost a step from that. But as a whole, we thought the wide receivers would be an A+, and they've at best been a C.
Yeah, they have. Now, the question does become, is it the scheme or is it the receivers? Because, again, I keep going back to this, Dave, and this is where the quarterbacks may get hesitant. I'm going to go – I have to keep bringing this up. Jeff Lebby having the most disappointing year for a first-year head coach. I didn't think Mississippi State would be good. I thought they'd be making a push in November. They're not. They're a laughingstock. Alex Golesh at USF, their offense is barely in the top 60 average. Lincoln Riley at USC finally gets a defense, and USC is a total disaster offensively. Oklahoma, Seth Littrell actually runs the veer and shoot too. Fired midseason by Brent Venables.
Okay, are you working that everybody else looks bad, so Tennessee looks better? That seems like a reach.
No, I'm not working that. I'm working that this veer and shoot offense that was developed by Art Briles, that Josh Heupel perfected by combining it with the old Mike Leach air raid and putting together a really unique system that Lincoln Riley uses, Seth Littrell runs concepts of, that Jeff Lebby uses, and that Alex Golesh uses, is getting figured out. I'm arguing that it's not a special offense anymore. And I'm arguing that there is a major issue that Josh Heupel and all these coaches I've named that cut their teeth and got big running this offense are going to have to adjust at some point, because nobody's done it that runs this offense yet. Josh Heupel and Lincoln Riley, for those who don't know, run the exact same offense. They run the exact same offense. It's a clone of each other. How's Lincoln Riley doing at USC right now, Dave?
Well, okay, you say it's a clone, but play calling and game planning aren't the same. I mean, philosophically, it's the same, but game planning and play calling, Caleb, Tennessee is more likely to run the ball in between the tackles. You would agree with that. Okay, so, but really, I mean, this offense is pretty much what everybody runs, isn't it?
No, I just named the ones. The wide splits, veer and shoot. I just named the one who do it, and it's taking off everywhere else. But Lane Kiffin doesn't run this offense. Lane Kiffin uses concepts of this offense, but he still has a lot of the old USC pros. He basically combines the RPO, veer and shoot, and then the pro style back in the day that he ran at USC. There's still much more of a look. You can agree with me on this, Dave, right? Lane Kiffin his quarterbacks still have to scan the whole field, don't they?
Yes.
And yeah, that's expected of them. That's not expected of these other quarterbacks. One who runs a similar concept, but not exactly the same. Hugh Freeze runs the spread, but uses it working the whole field with big receivers. Look at Hugh Freeze. His offense is a disaster now at Auburn. Guys, this is this is a big issue. I think this veer and shoot offense, again, is getting figured out everywhere. And I think the question is going to become who's adjusting, because Tennessee hasn't adjusted yet. And it is partially this 3-3-5 defense, because the veer and shoot and Josh Heupel's version of it with the air raid depends so heavily on those deep balls being there. Dave, you have to agree with me on this. They were there not. We think Hendon Hooker was so much better than anybody else on hitting the deep ball, but can we be honest on this? Weren't they there? Like, the deep ball was there 9 or 10 times a game when Hooker was playing, right?
Well, let's go 4 or 5.
I think no, he connected on 4 or 5.
Oh, okay. I see where you're
It
going.
was there 9 or 10 times a game.
Okay.
It's been there maybe 2 times a game with Nico
Okay,
this year.
if Faizon Brandon or George MacIntyre come to you, and signing day is the first Wednesday in December, it's like 2 weeks away.
Yep.
And they come to you and they say, I'm concerned. And listen, I don't really know how the new NIL and signing stuff works out, but it seems like it's legally impossible to keep somebody from getting out of that and playing somewhere else, right? That's why the transfer portal is wide open.
I agree.
It just seems illegal. I mean, I don't know, but if they come to you and they say, hype, I'm a little concerned here because the offense didn't have the same pop. It ranked midway through the SEC when in 2022, when I got so excited about it, it ranked one of the top 1 or 2 in the nation. So how are you fixing this? Because if I were a dad of one of those 2 guys, and good Lord, I hope that agents don't get involved, but they are getting more and more involved every single day. I got a call from one recently that was like, do you want to come down and interview this guy? And I was like, no, I don't have time. And it would have been a decent interview, but not one that you would have been like, ooh, boy. Just to be honest with you, I hope that person's not watching. They're going to be like, oh, well, I'm glad I tried to help. But what are you saying? Because we talked about a couple of things that really lit fire. I did not see one person. I check all the messages, guys, on the YouTube page. So whether or not you're watching at 10 a.m. when we broadcast live on YouTube, or you post at another time, whatever the case may be, is I read them all. And I didn't find one person that said Halsley's still the answer. So you're either going, I think you've got 2 options, and you tell me if you agree or disagree. You either go to one of these guys if they express concern, and I'm not just making this up, okay? There could be a concern expressed. So you go to them and you say, hey, there's a new coaching influx coming in, either a new OC, or we're going to have a bunch of offensive analysts and we're going to beat this thing, or I'm Josh Heupel and I'm the architect and I'm going to get involved. Or, are you ready for the other one?
Let's go.
We're Tennessee. We don't have to take an Oregon cast off, a Southern California cast off. We can go get the type of receivers, Jalen Hyatt, who has a wiggle and top speed, and that are the elite guys that make this offense go. There is a new direction in recruiting. It's not just take the guy with 5 stars next to his name. It's the guy who is a better fit, because right now they have a bunch of guys that are long and lanky, can get downfield, but don't have great ball skills, with the exception of Chris Brazel, and I don't know why he hasn't been a factor, and Squirrel White, who's a smaller guy that has been sidetracked with a shoulder injury. So I'm going to those guys and I'm saying, we've decided you have to have an answer for them, even if it's total BS. You have to have an answer for them if they express concern. And I think the answer is, we know what kind of receivers we need, and we're going to win the battles with Georgia and Alabama and get those topper receivers like Ryan Williams.
They have those receivers.
I don't know. They don't.
Wait,
they've got a bunch of big dudes.
They have Squirrel White, who vertically stretches the field. Dave, let's go back 2 years ago when let's go back 2 years ago when they were putting up godly numbers. Do you really think Cedric Tillman was that much faster than Brew McCoy? Because I don't. I watched him. He wasn't. Do you think Ramel Keaton was any faster than Chris Brazel? I watched him. He wasn't.
Whoa. Yeah, no. Brazel's much better. That's
my point. Yeah, Brazel's better. Here's what I'm saying. You say they're a bunch of big guys who aren't that fast. This receiving core is faster than the one 2 years ago that was putting up godly numbers. Squirrel White's faster than Jalen Hyatt. Can we agree on that?
No.
Oh, yes, he is.
Jalen Hyatt is way faster than Squirrel White.
Squirrel White is absolutely faster than Jalen Hyatt.
Okay, and I got this issue too. Derek, you put it up. Why is Mike Matthews not on the field?
Well, yeah, and Mike Matthews is very fast. Here's the issue, guys, and I'm trying to – I don't think it matters. First of all, Dante Thornton would have been the fastest wideout on the 2022 team. Would you agree with me on that? Easily would have been the fastest wideout. Not receiver, he's not faster than Jalen Hyatt.
Oh,
Jalen wideout.
Why do you understand?
I said wideout. Wideout. No, Jalen Hyatt's a slot receiver.
Okay.
Wideout.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Who is a wideout from the 2022 team that's faster than Dante Thornton? I'll wait.
There wasn't one. There's not one. And everybody points to Cedric Tillman in that year. He was hurt in the first month of the season, barely played.
He wasn't that fast. So the speed is not the issue. The issue is the offense is getting figured out, guys. And here's the real problem. Let me give Josh Heupel some credit real quick. He has adjusted. How has he adjusted? You just brought it up. He's willing to run the ball and stick to running the ball, which is why Dylan Sampson is having a historic year for Tennessee, because he's basically saying, if y'all are going to throw this 3-3-5 on me, I'll stick to running the whole darn game. But Dave, how do you sell that to 5-star quarterbacks like MacIntyre and Brandon, who, let's be honest, they didn't commit to Tennessee to have this offense be affected by running the ball the whole time. They committed to Tennessee because they hoped that those 10 bare deep ball routes would be there every game. And do you think they're willing to stay if they're seeing the offense be figured out? And while they can still be good, the team can still be great with the offense. They can't light it up the way they would have wanted to otherwise. Isn't that the thing that's going to scare them away more than anything else? That it has to be a more run-oriented offense now to adjust to how teams have adjusted to them?
Perhaps. So are you saying there are better? Because if I were either one of those guys, I know this sounds insane and everybody's going to hate me. And everybody's going to think I have a man crush on David Cutcliffe. Well, maybe I do. But I would go to wherever David Cutcliffe was. Who is the last coach? It's not Lincoln Riley, but he has produced a lot of quarterbacks, right, for the NFL. So let me take him out of the equation. Who is because I don't want to lose a lot. Who is the other quarterback or other quarterback guru that's out there? Because right now it seems like we have a lot of system gurus, and those are two different things.
Lane Kiffin. I think Lane Kiffin is a quarterback guru. I would go play for Lane Kiffin in a heartbeat. And honestly, I think Steve Sarkisian has so many issues as a coach, but I think he develops quarterbacks well. So Lane Kiffin, Dave, you know this. You covered it a little bit. The old USC offense, which Steve Sarkisian and Lane Kiffin both came out of, they turned Carson Palmer, Matt Leinart, and Mark Sanchez into NFL draft picks.
Totally pro style, too.
Totally pro style. And I know people will say, well, look at what Matt Leinart and Mark Sanchez did in the NFL. They were never good enough to be that good in the NFL. You would agree with me on that, Dave, right? It wasn't because they were poorly coached or developed in college. It's because they just weren't that good. Like,
you bring up a really good point. Might be a column. teams, we try to compare Lane Kiffin's offense to Josh Heupel's offense for a couple of different reasons. They're both exciting, and Lane Kiffin has the tie to Tennessee, right?
Yep.
But they're really way different. And if a team played Ole Miss the way defenses have played Tennessee this year, you'd pick them apart. That would go straight back to Bill Walsh principles, West Coast back in the day.
Oh, I agree. Look, I'll just say this. Arch Manning may have made a mistake going to Texas over Ole Miss. I mean, his family ties to Ole Miss were already there, and Ole Miss has the best coach possible to develop him since David Cutcliffe when he was at Ole Miss. And I agree, David Cutcliffe, you're not man-crushing David Cutcliffe. He's the greatest developer of – David Cutcliffe, I think, sacrificed his chances to maybe win more games because he prided himself so much on developing players. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and what he did with Heath Schuler was amazing, too. I mean, what he did with Heath Schuler – no offense against Heath, but Heath was not great at reading offenses. What he did with him and putting together an offense that maximized his ability was tremendous. And I think it proved true that he didn't do a great job in the NFL. A lot of things went wrong with Heath, and a lot of things can go wrong with some of the greatest quarterbacks ever. RG3 had everything broke right, no pun intended, with the injury. Had they kept an offense that was interesting and different and intriguing, basically what a lot of offenses are running now in the NFL, and had he not gotten hurt, he would have been a really good quarterback.
Well, no, had he not been a terrible, terrible teammate and try and sabotage Mike Shanahan because he said he wants to be Peyton Manning and refused to run after that. And
okay, well, whichever the reason, I think Mike Shanahan's about as dirty as they come. But anyway, this day in Tennessee sports history is brought to you by our friends at Dynasty Pools and Spas in Athens. Stop by, get a free gift from Off the Hook Sports, and $500 off if you decide to purchase a spa that includes everything. For Dynasty Pools and Spas, your home for the best spas and everything you need to jump right in. Relaxing? Therapeutic? Absolutely. But what sets Dynasty Pools and Spas apart from others is that you get everything with any spa purchase. You get the cover lift, the steps, delivery, and chemicals. When Dynasty Pools and Spas delivers your spa from their Athens location within 125 miles, you'll get your own personal hydrotherapy spa. Mention me, Dave Hooker, or Off the Hook Sports, and get $500 off your top quality new spa. Dynasty Pools and Spas, just off the Athens exit. Drop in and receive a free gift from Off the Hook Sports, Dynasty Pools and Spas. Mention Off the Hook Sports for a drop-in prize and that $500 discount, Dynasty Pools and Spas. To check out some of the Dynasty Spa models and to buy spa chemicals, go to dynastypoolsandspas.com. Dynasty Pools and Spas. The whole question's troubling. If you're Faizon Brandon or George MacIntyre, are you worried? Still, 3/4 of you believe, no, things are still good, but 25% saying, yes, not the same pop. That usually doesn't happen. When you ask a recruiting question, usually they just call you a big idiot because you could potentially hurt recruiting. So like, Dave, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. That's basically how those typically go. So I find that to be very insightful.